I confess when I started thinking about today's gospel and the reading, I wasn't sure where I was going to go. And I'm sure, as with many of you, my heart's been heavy all week. And even as I wrote this, I typed, I don't know what this is going to do. I just started typing and see where it took me. The pain of last Sunday morning is still fresh in me, as I'm sure it is with many of you. And I find it good that today's reading was about the madman made sane, only in the fact it's an example of how one person's madness can affect thousands, even if it was just the swine, but it also affected the city. It scared people. They were terrified. I know it's a stretch, but I'm keeping it because that's really all I have to say about it. I am heartbroken by what has been done to our community, and yet I have been reassured by many of the proper comforting responses. I have been dismayed by the hateful rhetoric it has inspired in some, and I have been really annoyed by the ignorance pronounced by others, and the lies still being propagated by the few. I stand, and I dare say we stand, in opposition to any hate speech, because this can and does fuel nothing more than hate, and it solves nothing. There was a young man's response I read on Facebook, and I think it echoes many in our community, in the LGBT community. And I have to kind of watch my language because we are more than just the LGBT community. We are allies, we are friends, we are family. But his response comes from his point of view as a young gay man. And it says, "Us gays, we make you look prettier. We dress you for important occasions. We polish up your neighborhoods until we get priced out of them. We plan and we attend your weddings, even though you may take vows to an entity that we hear too often, though we hear no better, that hates us. We are involved in every movie you see. We are involved in every TV show you watch. We are involved in every song you listen to, even the homophobic ones. We teach your children without having to tell you it's us. We protect your communities without having to tell you it's us. We nurse you back to health without having to tell you it's us. We clean your gutters, we paint your houses, and mow your lawns without having to tell you it's us. We fix your pipes without having to tell you it's us, even though you let us know what bathroom we can use. We govern your citizens, sometimes openly and sometimes only until we're involved in a scandal after years of spewing homophobic rhetoric. We are on every single one of the sports teams you root for, but are usually hesitant to say we're there because we don't want, shit thrown at us on the playing field. We are at the root of every cue you take in life, even those of you who wish us dead. We fight and die on your battlefields without letting you know it's us, and until recently, we weren't even allowed to let you know. But we got rid of DOMA. We won the right to marry, which was already guaranteed to us, but we just had to work harder than you. And now, as though we don't have enough on our plate, we will absolutely be the ones to fix up your abhorrent frickin' gun laws. Watch it happen and marvel. Because that's what we do. We clean up your messes without the guarantee of safety and respect in return. Can you imagine doing all that work without decency as a reward? So don't tell me I have to view Pulse Orlando as an attack on America instead of an attack on gay people. Because we're not Americans when you call us faggots. We're not Americans when you legally fire us. We're not Americans when you kill trans people. We're not Americans when you deny us adoption rights. We're not Americans when you say nasty stuff to us when we're holding hands on the street. And yeah, we do hear you. We're not Americans when you deny us marriage licenses or simply wedding cake with our names on it. In all of those circumstances, we're just gay people, and being an American doesn't matter. So, out of respect for everyone who fought and died before me, I'm going to take a few days to mourn as a gay man before I mourn as an American. And then after that, you can resume telling me I have to be at war with people I don't know, even though I've been at war with my own countrymen my entire life. Be happy you're at war with ISIS because you would lose a war against us. Oh, and you're welcome in advance for the gun thing like always. That was signed Dominic Pupa. He may reflect all of our emotions, some of our emotions, or none of our emotions, I don't know. This is just one person's anger, justifiable anger, coming to the forefront. But in his words, there is a plan. He is doing something very creative. He has decided, instead of just being angry, he is going to do something about it and fight the gun laws that allow things like this to happen. That may be your path, and it may not be, but he has done some very healthy things here, I think. And some of them, I think, are easy to see. He has expressed his need to grieve and how he needs to grieve. He's not allowing others to tell him how he should feel. He's being proactive in his response. You see, much like today's reading, we have been affected by, and yes, infected by, somebody else's madness. So how do we deal with that? I can tell you we can't allow it to drive us to our own destruction. And luckily, though I have degrees in pastoral care and counseling, and though I'm a spiritual director, all week I was wondering how the heck I'm going to address this. Market Street Center for Psychotherapy out of San Francisco has published an article called 10 Steps to Help to Process the Massacre, and is written by Kip Williams. And quite frankly, why do the work that somebody else has already done? So I'm going to paraphrase some of what he has said, and other parts I'll directly quote. First thing he says is, some people have noticed maybe that they should have felt more. They were surprised by their reactions or lack of reaction. Pay attention to your reaction. We may be becoming desensitized to violence. We are overwhelmed by so many stories of shootings and hate crimes and so on that it's okay to take a moment to just look back and note your first reaction. Second, we need to regulate our consumption. Regulate our consumption of the news, regulate our consumption of the social media. It's easy today to allow ourselves to be bombarded and in pain inflicted over and over again by just seeing the same story over and over again until the point you can't stand it anymore. We are just allowing ourselves to be traumatized again and again when they keep repeating the same story, showing the same ugly pictures, having the same ugly responses that we hear day in and day out. When you feel you can't take it anymore, when you feel you're overwhelmed, turn it off. Stand up. Walk outside. The more we watch, the higher our anxiety level goes. And it is a known fact that the higher our anxiety level goes, we're not going to have a good, wise, healthy response. Our rationale diminishes the more we're under stress. So turn it off, walk away, step outside, walk around, allow your mind and soul to rest. Go seek out some friends, go to a movie, hopefully a comedy. Go to a superhero movie that's nothing in there is real anyway. Next, pay attention to how the discussion is impacting you. Discourse impacts your sense of belonging and acceptance. Quote, many gay men in metropolitan areas have immigrated from other parts of the country or the world. What is it like for you to be within your own family and your own religious, cultural, and national context? Are you out to your family? And have you felt accepted by them? How has your family talked about the shooting? And how does that make you feel? How has other people's reactions affected your feeling about home? How have the reactions within the gay community affected your sense of belonging? One person raised a question in another article where they said their friends have all checked in with them to make sure they were okay, but not one call from the immediate family or relatives. Sometimes they just don't get it, how this affects us. They can't understand why somebody clear across the country is affected by a shooting at a gay bar. They don't understand the comprehension that these are safe places for many of us. Especially Pulse. It was a Latino night. It was specific music. It was a specific cultural center. It wasn't just gay. It was gay Latino night. A minority within a minority. As one young man said on NPR today, his father called him in tears because he said, they're not going to hate you just because you're gay, but also because your skin is brown. Kip goes on to say that we should explore what death means for us. What does loss mean? Have you lost loved ones? How did that affect you? Is it affecting you now at this moment, brought back because of just the pain of other loss? You should pay attention on how you feel about the gunman. Is there judgment about him and his family? Do we find a need, maybe at this time, to maybe examine some of our own prejudices that this might have brought up? Is this just one man, or does it translate into a culture for you? Does it translate into many? Or is your anger focused on just one man? These are questions you need to explore. Nobody can answer them for you. Each one of us will have different answers. And after you're done with all that, then check your gut, right here, where the reaction started. And check your reactions to this political fallout. God, I wish this did not happen during campaign season. There have been a lot less rhetoric and maybe a little bit more action. That's just my opinion. I didn't even write that down. It just came to me. This is about gun control. It's also about hate crimes. It's also about terrorism. It's also about national security. It's also about Islamophobia. It's about homophobia. Easy to say. It's about the exclusion of gay men to donate blood, and many more issues. What issues do you see that you may want to maybe focus on? Give some of your time and energy to so you can do something proactive as opposed to reactive. You need to pay attention to how each one of you individually is dealing with this, and how this experience overall is affecting you. What old wounds are opening for you? Are you feeling extremely connected to this attack, or maybe just numb? I think the first reaction of myself was numb. The news was on. We were on a short little vacation. And I was half asleep, and I went, Bob, what? I had to slap him, wake him up, and say, something just happened. Kind of walked outside, just feeling numb. Are you reaching out to others, to one another, or are you isolating yourself? Maybe you need to. Either are legitimate responses. The point is that you need to pay attention to yourself. This is about you and your needs and what is happening in you. Stay connected to you first. Do what you need to do for you first. When you can start to focus on what matters to you the most. See, while a crisis can cause immense pain and suffering, can also clarify what's really important to you in our lives. What kind of person do you want to be, and who and what matters most in your life? Compassion is often a very good place to start. Remember the victims and their loved ones with loving kindness. Be gentle with yourself and the people you interact with. Notice when you get drawn into problems and conflicts that don't matter in the grand scheme of things. And commit your energy to things that do matter. Things that matter to you. We are each different and need to find our own way. Finally, Kip recommends don't shut down. Express yourself. You each come from unique places and times and experience, which creates unique perspectives. Allow time to write, to paint, to sing, to dance, write a Facebook rant. That seems to be the most proactive choice people are making these days. Whatever you need to do to allow what's inside you to come out, let it out. And finally, I would like, as Kip suggests, by reminding you, we cannot live in fear. Fear is not a way of life, and we cannot afford to allow this or any incident make us cower and shut down. There is a saying that says the Bible uses fear, the Bible uses the term fear not 365 days a year. 365 times, one for each day in the year. It's a nice saying, it's not true. But it is a good thought. God does say, be not afraid, have no fear, fear not, and more. And I actually searched. Fear not appears 127 times. Be not afraid 65 times. And more importantly, there are over 333 verses about peace. Be at peace. Peace be with you. Basically, God's wish for us as humans, as the Creator's gift, is to be at peace. To live in peace and work toward peace, that we may create God's kingdom here on earth. So my wish, in the midst of all this turmoil and this heartache and pain, is that we may find, each of us, a way to heal. That better be God calling. To love one another, to find a way to support one another and keep on loving. Our love is not dead, but made stronger by this attack against us, and our love will prevail. This was an attack against the gay community. But because the gay community is part of, and a strong part of the Christian community, this was an attack against Christian community. Because gay people are Muslim, this was an attack on the Muslim community. Because gay people are human, this was an attack against humanity. This progression I just listed is a justified and logical progression of our pain. For many, the attack was very personal at first, and it still feels that way. And yet as we reflect and as we allow the love we have through Christ heal us, that pain will expand and soften, and the need to reach out will expand. And as we reach out and extend our love, the attack's power is diminished. And our power arises to unite us as a people of faith, of interfaith, of humanity. And then through that power, we can make this a better place. Not this here, this here. Through the power of God's love that is beyond all our understanding and comprehension, through the power of a God who made each and every one of us in their image, we can take this pain, turn it around, do something that will make this place better. Do something. Write, pledge, dance, hug, do something. And this world is already a better place for it. By gathering here today to be with each other, this world is already a better place for it. This will not destroy us. This cannot destroy us. This has not destroyed us. This will only make us stronger in our resolve to bring God's kingdom here on earth. Amen. Yeah. I'm not going anywhere.